morning.
Good morning. Morning.
Welcome home to Unity of Rockford, our spiritual home. Let's sing, "This is the day the Lord has made." I am alive, awake, alert, joyous, and enthusiastic about my life. At this time, let's sing Praise God.
Dear sweet Spirit, we come here today with open hearts and open minds to reconnect to Divine Source and celebrate our oneness with each other. We invite all the angels and saints and guides and loved ones to join us here at this time as we follow the teachings of our elder brother, Jesus the Christ, to be more loving, more kind, and more compassionate, to be the light in the world, and to create in accordance with divine plan. We invoke the power of the Christ consciousness to rise in our awareness so that we may claim our divine inheritance. For we know the truth. We are divine. And for this realization and for your grace and all of life's blessings, we are truly grateful. And we say, thank you, sweet Spirit. And so it is. Amen.
Would you please repeat the truth statement with me? There is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life. God, the good, omnipotent, in whom I live and move and have my being. The daily word for today is togetherness. And the affirmation is, I share God's love, peace, and joy. Would you please repeat that with me? I share God's love, peace, and joy. While I treasure my times of quiet and solitude, I also look forward to enjoying the company of family, friends, and members of my faith community. Whether we're working, volunteering, praying, or simply enjoying one another's company, our shared experiences allow me to support people I care about and feel supported in return. I enjoy and value togetherness throughout every season of my human journey. During times of trial, hardship, or grief, being in the company of friends and family helps comfort me and keep me strong. Likewise, during times of celebration, being in the company of others multiplies my joy. In times of togetherness, may the love, peace, comfort, and joy of God bless us all. And from Scripture, all who believed were together and had all things in common. That's from Acts chapter 2, verse 44. Would you please repeat the affirmation with me? I share God's love, peace, and joy. At this time, let's sing the Lord's Prayer, number 70. We want to thank Glennie for speaking today. Shannon is helping with the service in the sound room. Kim for being our videographer. And for Kim and Shannon for doing their magic to put this all on YouTube for all of you to enjoy. Our churchyard is still looking so beautiful. If any of you would like to come out and weed throughout the week, please feel free. We want to keep our spiritual center outside yard looking beautiful. If you have birthday presents and rummage sale items, we ask you to be so kind as to keep them for just a while longer. I know we have all had lots of time to sort our homes, and we do need every little bit we can get for our rummage sale. It will help our spiritual center out financially for everything you will bring from your homes. Our intention is to have both the birthday party and the rummage sale in the future. So please be patient, and we will let you know when those dates are. And we want to thank everyone who have continued their financial support during this time of self-isolation. We sincerely appreciate all of your tithing and all of your financial gifts that we have received during this time. As we have said in our virtual services, even though we are not physically together here at Unity of Rockford, our expenses still continue. It does make a difference when we are not together, as we have not had our cash income for the past 16 weeks. So thank you so much for your continued financial support. That is what sustains our spiritual center here at Unity of Rockford. Please watch, enjoy, and sing along with the song Pure Imagination by Barbara Streisand.
I just close my eyes, make a wish. I go into my mind and create the world the way I want it to be. Come with me, and you'll be in a world of pure imagination. Take a look, and you'll see into your imagination. We'll begin with a spin, traveling in the world of my creation. What we'll see will defy explanation. If you wanna to be free. If you truly wish to be.
Wasn't that wonderful? Nobody can sing it like Barbara. Imagination. I'm so excited because we are on the 6th of our 12 powers, and today is imagination, and that is my favorite power to talk about. So today we're going to talk about imagination, one of the 12 powers as outlined by Charles Fillmore. And I want to give credit to Winifred Hausman and Charles for the information that I've synthesized for today's talk. So let's start with what Unity says about imagination. And this article comes from Winifred, and if you go online to unity.org and click on 12 powers, you can actually have this for yourself. It says, imagination, the ability to image, picture, conceptualize, envision, and dream. The disciple is Bartholomew, and he represents positive thoughts held in mind. The corresponding color is light blue, and the location is in the third eye. In Unity, the saying, to set it right, see it right. This is the clue to the proper use of imagination, our God-given power. In order to change conditions in our mind, body, and affairs, we must first transform the pictures that we are holding in our mind's eye. If we don't like the conditions that we are attracting, we can change them by building new images with the eyes of the mind, our faculty of imagination. We have what amounts to a continuously running movie picture show being shown on the screen of our mind. Here we view our world, review past events, and project future experiences. If we project flickering images of first one thing and then another into our inner theater, we will express or attract a mixture of experiences, both good and bad. Imagination makes its home in the body and between the eyes, where we might think of it as functioning as the third eye. One that enables us to see beyond what we normally see with our two physical eyes. As we seek to develop our power of imagination for God purposes, we concentrate our attention at that point between the eyes, and we encourage the awakening of our power to picture God ideas. Here we are able to release limiting thoughts and feelings and perceive glimpses of something greater, our divine potentiality. It may come to us first in pictures. As we communicate with other people and describe mental images, so God communicates divine ideas and plans to us by projecting greater goals into the screens of our minds. Now this is the key. Imagination cannot be forced. It must be invited, just like all the other powers. Relaxation is important to keep those channels open in developing all the 12 powers, but it is especially necessary in working with this power. That's why we like to meditate every Sunday, is because we go into relaxation and then we image and we receive Christ-conscious thoughts into our minds. The more you become interested in showing yourself pictures of happy, healthy, prosperous, joyous experiences, the easier it becomes to forget the old limited pictures of the past. And while the pictures change in your mind, your body and circumstances are changing too. Because when you see it right, you set it right. So I thank Winifred for that. When we think of the word imagination, we think of the word image. To image, to put out the thought. Picture this, we sometimes say. Sometimes we compliment people by saying, what an imagination you have. Sometimes that's not such a compliment. Who comes to mind when you're thinking of a great imagination?
Walt Disney.
Walt Disney. Walt Disney is a great one. He had so many, not just cartoons, but all kinds of movies and things. He was a great imaginer. Einstein was wonderful. He said imagination is better than knowledge. Steven Spielberg, he came up with a lot of good movies. My favorite is Jesus, because Jesus was the greatest imager of all time. He could see something that he wanted to happen. He held it in his mind until it came into reality. Do you have to see it to believe it? Do you remember, I guess it was about 40 years ago, if you live long enough, do you remember the Jetsons? George Jetson, his wife Jane, their boy Elroy, and the dog Rockford. He would be on the treadmill. They'd have all kinds of imaginative inventions in that cartoon. Well, like the big screen TV where they'd call each other on the phone, but you could see them on the TV. Now we have that. It's called Skype or FaceTime or Zoom. So we already have that. And in Star Trek, they'd have those little tricorders that they'd pull out of their pockets, and they'd be on a planet, and they'd say, "Beam me up, Scotty," and they'd be talking, and I'd go, "That's so silly. There's no wire to that. How's that supposed to transmit?" And then I thought, well, there's radio waves, so maybe sometime in the future, they'll come up with something to where you can just hold it in your hand. And we call that cell phones now, so we have them. And also on the bridge of the deck of the Starship Enterprise, they had those screens, and they were just glass, and they had little words behind them, and they'd touch it to turn on the engine. And I thought, oh, that's crazy. You gotta at least have a button to push. But now we have touch screens. So all those things that they came up with and imagined, we now have. Jean-Luc Picard used to sit in his office, and he'd have a little thing that looked kind of like a microwave. And he'd say, "Tea, Earl Grey," and the cup would appear with hot tea coming out of it. Well, now they have 3D printers. It's the same thing. And I just heard last week on a science program where they actually can take something from one area on a subatomic level, and they can dematerialize it and take it to another place and rematerialize it. They're doing it now in the laboratories. And I thought that will never ever happen. So everything that was on that show is now happening. First, it has to be imaged, manifested in our imagination. It's already there. It's in the field of possibility. But Christ sends it to our consciousness, and then we imagine it, and then we tell each other, and then we find a way to actually make it come into 3D reality. A thought held in mind, an outpouring of the mind. Thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. Charles Fillmore said that 100 times. Every decision that we make comes from the help of our imagination. Think about what happens when we make a decision. We image all of the possible scenarios in our mind. We imagine what their outcome is going to be. If I do this, then this is going to happen. If I do that, then that's going to happen. And then we take the best conclusion in our mind of what would be the best course of action. We image the outcome, the one that is best interest for everyone involved, and then we make that decision on how to act. That decision process relies on the power of imagination. Here's what Charles says about imagination and decision making. It's exactly what I just said on page 253. Divine imagination, an instrument in the hands of Spirit of Truth, often takes a prophetic turn. It has the power to read out of the law and let one know possibilities as they really are, what will take place, and if such and such thought forms continue to operate. It's exactly what I just said. He's a little bit harder to understand. In his book, The 12 Powers, he also refers to imaginations through visions, colors, and dreams. He said that during the Revolutionary War, George Washington, while he was on his knees praying, he asked to be shown the right thing to do. And a light shone around about him, and a vision came to him, and a broad, prosperous country spread out before him. He recognized it as the future of the United States of America. And everything he did from that point on, he did with confidence and conviction because he had already seen it, so he knew what was going to happen. In truth, he had made contact with spiritual forces, outpouring what would inevitably come to pass. That's the power of imagination. Now, here's what Charles says about color in imagination. Now, remember, this was written like 100 years ago. In the unfoldment of the outer 11 faculties, it is the activity of imagination that causes the different colors to appear. For example, when in the silence, meaning in meditation, radiation of the word of the power has reached a certain degree of intensity. In other words, we have to raise our level of vibration. The image faculty not only stamps the realization with shapes and forms, but color responding with the true worth of that realization, but it also causes color blue-purple to appear. It's like, say what? Blue-purple to appear. Charles was 100 years ahead of his time. He's talking about the colors of the chakras when we are in full alignment at each of those 12 powers coming to fruition. We are emanating colors in the body. It's the 7 chakras that Carolyn Mace talks about in her book. The color of the activated third eye is indigo or dark blue, purple, and that's what Charles said. The radiation of power reaching a certain degree of intensity, the image of shape and form, he's talking about clairvoyance and clear seeing here, how we get images in our mind's eye. For many who meditate, when the third eye begins to open, you'll see a blue screen. And on that screen, you'll start to see images. We all know this, those of us who meditate. So that's what he's talking about. Now, he goes on to say this. Excuse me. When the realization for love is held, the image power caused the color rose to appear, and so on. And so what he's talking about here is the vibration turns into a color. We have red, orange, yellow, green, blue, the color of power that Jackie talked about last week, indigo, violet, and then all of them together are white. He says the imaging power of mind is symbolized by the colors of the rainbow. So when we are fully in alignment with our 12 powers, we're all walking rainbows. However, when all of those colors are brought into a focal point, a flow of white light is the result. Take this same billowing flow of light and pass it through a crystal prism, and it will come out on the other side of the prism, broken up into component parts, purple, green, pink, yellow, and so forth. Jesus' apostle Bartholomew symbolizes the faculty of divine imagination. Now Charles is going to get a little scientific here. Between the eyes is a ganglionic nerve center, which when spiritually quickened, will set into operation the divine imagining power. So again, Charles was 100 years ahead of his time. He was so good because he understood the body, the nervous system, the endocrine system, and how when you activate those parts of the body, you quicken those powers within you. So how do we quicken imagination? That's what we want to know. Well, the same way we quicken all the other 12 powers, by invitation only. That's the only way to do it. We must ask for it. Now, not through supplication, oh God, give me imagination. We know that that won't work, but we do it through affirmation and we do it through declaration. So we affirm, I now quicken the power of imagination. Or we declare, I now see the divine truth in this situation. So when you're in a situation that you don't know what to do with, just make that declaration and see what comes to you. Jesus Christ knew how the law of divine imagination works. He molded his life after that divine pattern. That's what he had in mind when he said, he who has seen me has seen the Father. That comes from John 14, verse 9. He knew that he was the image of the Father brought into manifestation. Now we find a lot of things in the readings of the Bible that the prophets of old were all versed in the use of imagination. They were guided by their visions and by their dreams. Here's what Charles says about that. There's a scientific law back of our visions of the night. Everything that happens in the outer world first takes place in the inner world of thought. In the inner realm of thought is where spirit of truth operates. And when something that is vital in a person's life is about to take place, the spirit of truth makes it known to him in a manner that can be reached by his subconscious. In other words, through dreams and visions. Every time you have something really major going on in your life, something really important, like you've met someone and you're going to marry them, you might get that information in your dream material. Often when one becomes still, as in sleep, the spirit of truth throws the message on the screen of the mind in thought pictures, and the recipient calls this a dream. End of quote. Charles is so smart. So in the Bible all the time, we have a history of people receiving messages from God in their dreams. Look at Joan of Arc. She was told by the angels that ascended down and told her that she needed to save France from England. Or look at Joseph. He was told, go ahead and marry the Virgin Mary anyway, even though everyone was telling him he probably shouldn't. He was told in a dream, yeah, go ahead and do that. And he was also told to get the baby out of there because all the babies were going to be killed in that land, so take the baby away. He learned that in a dream. And thank God that they actually listened to those dreams. Joseph, David. I love David in the Bible. He's my favorite because he was the one that interpreted dreams all the time. And he went to the Pharaoh, and after 20 people tried to interpret the Pharaoh's dreams, he couldn't do it, but David could, because David understood the symbology of what dreams mean. So we need to learn what our symbols mean. The universe talks to us every day in the trees and everything, the birds, they all have consciousness. They're talking to us all the time, but we need to pay attention. So he's talking here about the higher awareness of our divine mind communicates with us through visions and dreams. How spirit throws the message onto the screen of our mind. But then he goes on to talk about what to do if you get negative images in your dreams. And it's very much like what Esther Hicks talked about when she's talking about Abraham, saying that during our dreams being a part of our psyche, where our grid fills in. Because you think of something during the day, and then at night during your dreams, it's like a picture puzzle. All of the different information starts filling in. In other words, bad dreams shows us where we have our attention lately. So if you're thinking negative thoughts or you're watching bad TV right before you go to bed, a lot of that gets stuck in your dream material. Bad dreams and images of our errors in thinking. So here's what Charles says to do about that. Of course, one must learn to read the symbols. If the message is good, all is well. If not, one should go into the silence, in other words, go meditate again, and hold realizations for light, wisdom, and the transformative power of spirit until the error is dissolved. So light, the light is what does it. Emerson says the same thing. Emerson said that nothing is so hideous or so unclean, but that the intense light will make it beautiful. This rule holds good in dissolving error thought forces that are trying to manifest their power in one's life. End of quote. So, don't allow your attention to be on negative things during the day. Become part of your psyche, your tapestry, your dream information. Hold the light and the wisdom and spiritual truth on images until they turn into goodness. Now, we follow the life teachings of Jesus because he's the best example of how to live your life in harmony with nature and with all living creatures and with one another. He's the best example of how to stay in direct contact and communion with our source, with divine mind. He's the best example of how to image what you would want in reality and showing a different, if reality is showing you a different picture, he's the one that helps us to image how to do it right. See it right, set it right. When the world was imaging sickness and lack and poverty, Jesus used his power to imagine and create health and wholeness and prosperity and abundance, because he knew that it was the Father's great pleasure to give us the kingdom. He told us, I came so that you may have life and have life more abundantly. Jesus was the master at imaging with purpose of single-mindedness. He held in his third eye, his mind's eye, exactly what he wanted. And he held it to that image until it became reality for not only him, but everyone around him. That's the power of imagination, to heal the sick and to raise the dead. Now, if you want to practice, let's start small. Place an image of something in your mind and hold it in your mind until the universe brings it to you through the law of attraction. Say, I'm going to manifest a blue star, and then hold that image of a blue star all week until you see it somewhere. You'll see it on TV, or you'll see it on a billboard, or you'll see it in a book. Just keep that image in your mind. I've already decided for this week I'm going to see a black and white cow. I don't know why, it just seemed funny to me, so I thought that'd be fun to do that one. I'm going to do a black and white cow. So right now I want you to image an image, a thought, a thing that you can see sometime, and you're going to bring it to yourself in the next week. Know that you're going to see it, and then don't be so surprised when it actually shows up. I think I told you the story before when I was teaching at NIU, and I have my students do this all the time. And they love doing this. They love coming back and talking about what they saw. They take pictures of it and bring it to class to show everybody what they image. And we could do that too, you know, take a picture of it and put it up on Facebook. That'd be fun. But I was telling the class this, and they all believed it. They were doing it. They were bringing their images into class. But there was like, you know, there's always one student that gives you a challenge. And there was this one student, and he just wasn't having it. He didn't believe this. He said, this is a hoax. So I said, well, try it. He goes, no, you try it. He said, I'm going to give you an image, and you image it and bring it to us, and prove it by taking a picture of it and bringing it to class. And I said, okay. So he said, I want you to imagine a three-headed tiger. And I thought, oh boy, I got my work cut out for me now. But then I remembered that it's not me that's doing the work. The universe is going to bring it to me. And as long as I have faith, it'll show up. A three-headed tiger. I said, okay, I'll image it. Well, that very night, it wasn't even a week, that night, I had to go out late. It was like 9 o'clock at night. And I went to Walgreens to pick up something at the drugstore. And I'm walking down the aisle, and on top of the aisle, I saw this 6-foot-long stuffed tiger up on the top shelf. But there wasn't just one. There were 3 or 4 of them in a row on the shelf. And when I looked up, all I saw was the body of the first tiger, but I could see the heads of the other tigers. So I took a picture, and it looked just like a tiger with 3 heads. So I brought it back to class, and needless to say, that kid was really, he believed it after that. And he started bringing me things that he was seeing. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to image an object into our reality. Now, once you get really good with objects, then go higher. Start with situations. Start imaging situations. Like we had a little faux pas going on to get set up technologically today, and I just sat and imaged, it's all going to work out. It's going to happen. It's going to be fine. And it did. So you can image 2 of your friends are fighting, and they're not getting along, and they hate each other. Never talk to them again. And you can image, oh, they're going to get back together. They're going to apologize, and forgiveness will happen, and they'll be best of friends again. So you image something until it happens. Situations are a little more, I don't want to say they're more complicated, because they're not. Because with the universe, all things are possible. And there is no degree of complication when it comes to spirit, right? And that's what I thought of when I thought of the tigers. There's no degree of complication. It's as easy as pie. You just have to believe. So our prayer team does this every week. We see an individual healed, whole, and healthy. We don't care what their affliction is. We don't concentrate on that. We concentrate on healed, whole, and healthy. Then we give thanks that this is so, because we know that gratitude seals the deal when it comes to spirit. So I've been thinking all week about imagination. I've seen examples of it everywhere. I see little kids with their chalk on the sidewalks drawing pictures. It's so cute. On TV, I see my favorite thing on Netflix right now is Anne of Green Gables. It's called Annie with an E. That little girl has such an imagination. The whole show is around her imagination. So I see it with family and friends. So I have a homework assignment for you all. Are you ready? 2 things that I want you to do. The first one is pick an object or a situation. A blue star, a green frog, a yellow car, a pink house. It doesn't matter what it is, just some object, and put it in your mind's eye. Hold the image in the back of your mind, and when it comes to you, say thank you, universe, and then I want you to tell your Unity friends. Go on Facebook or go into the Unity website and actually either take a picture and post it or have a conversation about it. Now, the second thing's more important. I want you to imagine, just imagine, what would life look like if I could create everything that I imagine? Everything that I imagine. Now, that might have sparked fear in some of us because you're thinking, oh God, I hope not, because if everything I imagine comes to reality, we're in trouble. So you might have to clean up your thinking a little bit. But everything I imagine, what would the world look like? Write it down. Tell someone, how would the world be different? Let's start a Facebook conversation this week of imagining the perfect world. So imagine your world in its perfection. Dream big. I thank you in advance for your participation in this week. I can't wait to start watching Unity Facebook. And I leave you today with this thought. What if the world is perfect just the way it is? What if the world is perfect just the way it is? There's nothing wrong and there's nothing broken. It's exactly as we collectively imagine it to be. Imagine that. Namaste. Let's sing our thoughts or prayers. So now we get comfortable by relaxing our bodies. Sit up straight, putting our feet flat on the floor. Close your eyes if that feels comfortable for you. And take a few deep, gentle, slow breaths. And as we breathe, let's use the light today. Breathe in the light, that divine spirit. Envision a beautiful white light, full of all the colors of the rainbow, entering the crown of your head and flowing down through the center of your brain. This is a sacred space, a space of wisdom. As we exhale, release and let go of all tension. Let go of all the past. Let go of all expectation for the future. Set it aside. Come here now, wholly, to this present moment, to this sacred space. We continue to breathe in this white light, and we see it stream, the streams of light flowing down through our chest and arms and hands and out the palms of our hands. and through our fingertips. You may even feel it vibrate. And as we breathe out, we release. And we release love. We release love. Opening, expanding, becoming clearer. Letting go of all mental chatter. Providing sacred space for the divine to enter into our screen of vision. Let this present moment, this eternal now, to enter into our awareness. We invite imagination to quicken in us now. Feel the white light unfold in your chest and enter the heart. Focus on that part of you that is whole, healthy, and at peace, and full of divine love. Now allow the warmth of divine love to emanate down the rest of your body, out the soles of your feet, right to the center of the earth. Feel the power of light streaming out from your heart and in all directions, up, down, front, back, side to side, in all directions, growing in strength and intensity, merging with the light of everyone who's listening. As we merge our light and it becomes stronger and stronger and brighter, it pulsates and it grows larger and larger until it covers the city of Rockford and the state of Illinois. And it flows through the country and covers the earth, cleansing, bringing peace to everyone and everything. Imagine all the people living life in peace and harmony, where everyone has a deep, profound respect and love for one another, where everyone recognizes the divine in each person and in all things. We are the bearers of light. And today I speak only words of peace. In this very moment, I visualize a world at peace. I mindfully speak from a peaceful heart, knowing that every word has an effect on others. And I look at the world through the eyes of love. Peace radiates from within me. Created in divine love, I affirm peace is expressing now in the silence. Where there is light, there can be no darkness. Where there is love, there can be no fear. Let us enter this day with love in our hearts, with strength in our conviction, with Christ in our consciousness, and with peace in our souls. You and I are one. We are the witness, the watcher. We are life itself, the dancer and the dance. And for this opportunity to join in spirit and in truth, we are truly blessed. And we say, thank you, sweet Spirit. Thank you, God. And so it is. Amen.
Thank you, Glennie. It is that time in our service to give of our gifts, our tithes, and our offerings. You have been so generous in this time when we cannot physically be together. We know that when we tithe, it is a spiritual practice. It brings us closer to the divine. So thank you. Thank you for sending your checks in the mail and for going online to give. You can mail checks to Unity of Rockford, 4381 Manchester Drive, Rockford, Illinois, 61109. Or click the donate button on our website at www.unityofrockford.com. We really appreciate all that you give. Thank you. Would you please say the offertory statement with me? Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Please watch, enjoy, and sing Imagine by Pentatonics.
Imagine there's no
God, we thank you for these gifts, tithes, and offerings. We may be small in numbers, but we are mighty in our prosperity consciousness. We are grateful for the generosity of these givers and for their gifts that will keep our spiritual center alive and well. Our commitment is to feed souls and nourish our community. Thank you, God, and so it is. Amen. If you have prayer requests, please email them to unityrockford@gmail.com, and we will forward these to the prayer team. If you are not on our email list for our weekly updates, please contact us at unityrockford@gmail.com, and we will add you to the email list. If you'd like to know more about Unity of Rockford, please visit our website at www.unityofrockford.com. At this time, let's sing the peace song and the prayer of protection. I'm holding your hands right now, and you are all in my heart. As we close for today, thank you for sharing this sacred time together. We look forward to hearing your image of the perfect world. Namaste.